I am back for another fun amigurumi project, and today is going to be so much fun because we are going to be making a cute little jellyfish. Here is one I have done in the worsted Hirschner's 8. This is an acrylic yarn here, so you can kind of see what that would look like. And then today we're going to be doing it in the Hirschner's My Ami yarn, which is perfect for amigurumi. I love seeing the different styles, and I'm going to be making it in purple today because I thought that would be fun. Some of the supplies that you will need, of course, a crochet hook. I'm using the dots 4mm for this today. Some stuffing, some fiberfill, or you can use yarn scraps to stuff it. And then a couple of eyes. A stitch marker is always important when we're working any type of crochet project, but especially amigurumi in the round. And then a yarn needle to weave in those ends and scissors to cut them. Now, I will mention that you will see this design in the Lion brand Bliss yarn. It's very, very fuzzy. If you want to make it in that yarn, that's fantastic. But just know that that yarn in itself, I don't care what you're really making with it, that yarn in itself is an advanced yarn. Yeah, I'm rating the yarn here. I just want to give you that heads up. If you're a beginner, please stick with one of these yarns to make this, because anything that has that much texture and fuzz in a yarn where you cannot see your stitches very well can be frustrating. But if you are ready for that level of advanced crocheting with fuzzy yarn, or you have crocheted with fuzzy yarn before and you're comfortable with it, please jump on in with that yarn. Let's go ahead and get started by creating this cute little amigurumi jellyfish today. Now, to get started with the jellyfish body, we're going to be using a dark purple, but you can mix this up with whatever color you want. Like I did an orange one before, but I like to start with the darker color of the shade that I am using. Once again, you can make a rainbow one. It's completely up to you. So I'm going to make a magic ring and chain 1, and then we are going to single crochet 12 stitches inside that magic ring. Now, once you have your magic ring, we are going to want to start to close that. Now, I don't close it all the way because it is helpful in the next round to not have it be super tight in the circle. So we are going to join to that very first single crochet stitch that we made in this round and then turn our work. And then we are going to chain 1, and you can chain 1 or not. It's really optional at the beginning of the rounds. And we're going to work in the very first, so not your chain stitch and not your join, but into the very first stitch of this round. And this is going to be worked in the back loops only. So not through both loops, but the back loop only. And we are going to place 2 single crochet stitches into each stitch around. I highly recommend grabbing a stitch marker and marking that very first stitch of the round. It just makes your life so much easier. So after working 2 single crochet stitches in the back loop only of each stitch around, we will have 24 total stitches for the end of round 2. Now at the end of round 2, I am going to move my stitch marker, join to the very first stitch of this round, and then we are going to turn our work, and we're going to be working on that wheat stitch. So we'll chain 1, and then we're going to skip the very first stitch. Be sure that you're not working into your join. We're going to skip the very first stitch and then single crochet into the next. And now working back into that skip stitch, we will yarn over, insert into that space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, insert into the same space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 4 loops on the hook, and then yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 for a modified puff stitch. We're going to be repeating that all the way around. So there's no increasing on this round. We will still have 24 stitches, but we're going to skip the next and single crochet into the next. And then working back into that skip stitch, we will work a modified puff stitch. Now, if you're finding this a little bit difficult to do, if this is your first time working the wheat stitch, I highly recommend going to my wheat stitch tutorial on my blog where I have outlined this in detail step by step. So we're going to be working that repeat all the way around for the wheat stitch, skipping a stitch and then single crocheting and then working back into the skip stitch with a modified puff. Work that all the way around. Now at the end of round 3, if you want now, you can join or pull tighter that ring at the very beginning. You can weave in your end. But at the end of round 3, we are going to be joining to the very first stitch of this round with a slip stitch. I like to tighten that down and then turning our work. Chain 1. And then we're going to be repeating round 3 for round 4. So we'll skip a stitch, work a single crochet into the next, and then work a modified puff back into that skip stitch. And it always is a good idea to mark the very first stitch of each round. And so we're going to repeat round 3 for round 4, then come on back. Now at the end of round 4, we're going to join to the very first stitch with a slip stitch. And for round 5, we're going to be working single crochet stitches again. And these will also be worked in the back loops only. So you can chain 1, and then in the very first stitch of this round, in the back loop only, we are going to do 2 single crochet stitches. And then you'll want to mark the very first stitch of this round. And then we are going to single crochet into the next stitch. All of these worked in the back loop only. So 2 single crochet in the back loop only in the next, and single crochet 1 in the back loop only in the next. And that's our repeat around. So 2 single crochets into the next, and then single crochet 1 into the next, working in the back loop only. This will increase this round at the end of round 5 to have a total of 36 stitches. Now at the end of round 5, we will join to the very first stitch of this round with a slip stitch and then turn. And then for this round, for round 6, we can start with chaining 1, and we're going to work in the back loop only, working these single crochet stitches again. And we're going to single crochet 2 into the very first stitch, marking the very first stitch of the round. And then we are going to single crochet in the back loop for the next 2 stitches. And that's going to be our repeat around for round 6. So that's 2 single crochet stitches into the next to increase, and then single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. And at the end of round 6, that will increase our stitch count to 48 stitches. Now at the end of round 6, we are going to join with the slip stitch and turn. And then for rounds 7 and 8, we're not going to be doing any increasing here. The stitch count will remain the same, but we are going to be repeating rounds 3 through 4. So we're simply repeating those puff stitch rounds for rounds 3 through 4 to complete rounds 7 through 8. And now for rounds 9 through 10, these are going to just be single crocheting in the back loop only for each stitch around. So 9 through 10 is really easy. No increasing or decreasing, just single crocheting through the back loop only for each stitch around for rounds 9 and 10. And then for rounds 11 through 12, we are once again going to be repeating rounds 3 through 4. So it's just working those puff stitch rounds. So I'm going to come back after I've completed round 12. Now we have finished the end of round 12. We've joined, and we're going to turn and chain 1. And for round 13, we're going to be doing some decreasing, but still working those single crochet stitches in the back loop only. So to do a decrease, we are going to go through the very first stitch of this round, and then we're going to simply rotate our hook and work through the back loop only of the second stitch. So just loop through 2 back loops of the first 2 stitches. Then we'll yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. And then mark this as the first stitch of the round. And we've done a decrease, but it's an invisible decrease and it looks quite nice. Then we are going to single crochet in the back loops only for the next 2 stitches. And this is going to be our repeat around. So a single crochet decrease by inserting through the back loop of the first stitch, rotating your hook and inserting through the back loop of the second stitch, and then completing that single crochet 2 together. And then single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Now at the end of round 13, we will have a total of 36 stitches decreasing. And then for round 14, we're not going to decrease. We're simply going to turn and work in the back loop only, single crocheting around. Now at the end of round 14, after just single crocheting around, we are going to join, but we are not going to turn. So at the end of round 14, we are not turning. We are going to go right into round 15. And round 15 is going to be worked in the front loops only. The reason why is when we make the base of this and we come back and attach it, we'll be using those back loops later on. So we need to leave them free for future instructions. So working in the front loop only, we're going to chain 1 and then single crochet into the first stitch. And remember, we are working this into the front loop only. Go ahead and mark that stitch as the first stitch of this round. Now we're going to skip the next stitch and double crochet 6 stitches into the next. What this is going to do is create a really cute shell scalloped edge along the bottom here. Now we are going to skip the next stitch and front loop only double crochet 6 stitches into the next. What this is going to do is create that really cute scalloped bottom edge to the jellyfish. And now we're going to skip the next stitch and single crochet in the front loop only of the next. And this is going to be our repeat around. So we're going to single crochet in the front loop only, skip the next stitch, double crochet 6 into the next in the front loop only, and then skip the next stitch. So once again, that is skipping a stitch, and then we will single crochet in the front loop only of the next, skip a stitch, and then double crochet 6 in the front loop only into the next, and then skip a stitch. And this just creates a really cute scalloped edge. Now at the end of this round, you will have a total of 54 double crochet stitches and 9 single crochet stitches. And this is what we are after. We are after this really cute scalloped edge along the front. Now after working all the way around, we've skipped the last stitch and now we just have our yarn ready to join. So I'm going to be fastening this off, grabbing my yarn needle, and we're going to do an invisible join here. So I'm going to place my yarn onto the needle. Now to do an invisible join but not add any extra stitches, we're actually going to be skipping the very first stitch. So we're going to go into the second stitch of the round and we're going to pull it through as if to crochet it. And then we're going to go down the top center. I like to hook it through the loops on the back too for extra secured on that. And we're going to pull it down. And what that does is it creates a mock stitch over the first stitch of the round. And it doesn't increase any of our stitch counts whatsoever, but it creates an invisible nice join. And then we can go ahead and we can weave in our end to secure it. And then this piece, this body piece, is going to be set aside until later. We will be coming back and we'll be working the back loops only of the round that we just worked in order to close this opening with our piece that we will be creating. Now next we are going to be creating 6 tentacles. I've done these in 2 different sizes just to add some length variation between them. You can create them however long you want, so this is easily adjustable. I'm going to be showing you how to make a short tentacle, and the long tentacle, all you're doing is chaining more, but the instructions are the same. So for the short tentacle, we're going to chain 29. For the long, you can chain 41. Now starting in the second chain from the hook, and I love to work into the back humps here, we are going to do 2 single crochet stitches. And then we are going to single crochet into the next. And that's going to be our repeat all the way across. We are going to do 2 single crochet stitches into the next chain stitch, and then single crochet 1 into the next. And this will be repeated all the way across. So we're doing 2 single crochets and then single crochet 1. Now for the longer tentacles, that means that at the end of this row, it's really going to start to curl, we'll have a total of 60 stitches. And for the shorter one, we'll have a total of 42 stitches. And this is what they will look like once you have worked all the way across. This will really start to curl as you go, which is what we want. And then we'll have a total of 6 tentacles to play with in our next steps. So go ahead and make all those cute little tentacles, and you can fasten them off, but leave these strings attached. We definitely want to keep these strings attached because these are going to help us attach it to the jellyfish. Next, I'm going to be using the lighter color of purple, and I'm going to make the base. We're just simply making a circle that we can insert underneath the jellyfish that's going to bring all of this together. So this will be one of our last pieces that we will be making. So we're getting there. We're going to create a magic ring, chain 1 and single crochet 6 stitches inside the magic ring. We're going to be working this continuously, so you'll want to grab your stitch marker. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull that ring closed and then grab a stitch marker that I have already lost. super fun. Grab another stitch marker. And we are going to be working continuously here. So we are going to go right into that stitch. We're not going to join. We're going to go right into that first stitch of this round, and we are going to do 2 single crochet stitches. And this is where it's extra important to have a stitch marker handy, because you really don't want to lose your spot here when working in the round. I do sometimes like these cat ones because I can pull the ears through and make sure it's not going to go anywhere. Now for round 2, we are going to be doing 2 single crochet stitches into each stitch around, which means at the end of round 2, our stitch count will be 12 stitches. Now for round 3, we're going to start round 3 by creating 2 single crochet stitches into that very first stitch of the round and then marking it. And then we're going to single crochet into the next. And that's our repeat around for round 3. So that's 2 single crochets into the next, and then single crochet into the next. Each round from here on out is going to be increasing by 6 stitches. So at the end of round 3, we will have a total of 18 stitches. Now for round 4, and for round 4, we're going to be increasing again. We're going to do 2 single crochet stitches into the first stitch, and we're going to mark that. And then we're going to single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. And that's going to be our repeat around for round 4. So that's going to be to do 2 single crochet stitches into the next, and then single crochet into each of the next 2. Now I'm going to talk about rounds 4 and 5 because I'm going to do those off camera, but for round 5, it's going to be so similar. We're going to do 2 single crochet stitches into the next, and then single crochet into the next 3 stitches and repeat that around. And for round 6, it's going to be 2 single crochet stitches into the next, and then single crochet into the next 4 stitches and repeat that around. So quite simple to build that circle through round 6. And at the end of round 6, we will have a total of 36 stitches. And that's where we can come on back and talk about assembly. So now that we have our circle made, we are not going to be fastening off. We are simply going to pull our yarn. If you need to throw in a locking stitch marker here to keep it from moving, please do so. But we're going to grab all of our tentacles here, and we're going to be attaching them to this through a no-sew way. Now, in order to add our tentacles to this circle and have it look really nice, we're going to have our piece with the right side facing out. We're going to insert our crochet hook underneath the bottom and coming out the right side. And then we're going to grab one of the strands from this tentacle. So it has 2 strands, 2 yarn strands here. And we're going to grab one of them and pull it through. Then we're going to go back through this just 1 stitch over. And we're going to grab the other strand that is hanging out from this tentacle, and we're going to pull that strand through. And now that both of our strands are through, we want to tie it down tight. So this is a way to avoid getting your yarn needle and stitching these in place. We can simply pull them through, and on the wrong side of our work, we can tie these down. And of course, tie them really securely. Do a double knot. We don't, or even a triple knot. We don't want these coming undone. And then you can cut this if you want. You don't have to because it can sit inside, but sometimes it is nice to cut it to get those ends out of the way as we look towards attaching it to the larger body. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of these tentacles, placing them in different spots around. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's no rhyme or rhythm. It's just random placement. And then we'll get all of them tied into place. Now we're going to set our piece aside for a second. We're still attached to our ball of yarn. We have not fastened off, and we've got all these ties through here. We've got all of our tentacles attached. We're going to set it aside, and we're going to get ready for assembly. Now we're going to want to place our safety eyes onto the front of the jellyfish. I did it between rounds 11 and 12, approximately 4 and 5 stitches apart, and I'm just going to snap those safety eyes into place. Now I just want to note, if you are giving this to a young child, I know I've mentioned this before, I just want to say it again, it's always a good idea to maybe sew these on versus using safety eyes for safety reasons, because these safety eyes, even though they go on and they snap pretty tight, they can be pulled off. Now, if you struggle with snapping these into place, you can get these cute little tools that have one flat side and another side, and you can place the flat side on the outside where the eye is, and then you can set your other piece onto the back, and this just helps clamp it down. If you find that this hurts your hands at all to do, you can do it with one of these tools. to get it into place tightly without straining your hands. Now our next steps will be to begin stuffing this jellyfish. Now we do not want to overstuff, and we don't even want to stuff all the way at this point, just a little bit to hold some shape on where we are going, because now we are ready to grab our tentacles right back where we left off here, where our stitch marker is, and we're going to be attaching this to that back loop only round from what we did before. So what I'm going to do is grab my crochet hook here and move my stitch marker. And we are going to be working through, I like to use the back loops of this current round on the circle, and then go through the back loop of the round that we last did before doing the scallops on the underside of this jellyfish. And we're going to slip stitch those together. So through the back loop and through the back loop and slip stitch together. And that's going to join this base with all the tentacles and any extra strands on the inside, so it hides all of those nice and tidy. And we're going to slip stitch it together all the way around. You can see where we have worked. We're going to go almost all the way and finish stuffing. So work, I would say, a good 2/3 at least around, and then we will finish stuffing the jellyfish. Now before finishing off the seaming together through those slip stitches, you'll want to finish stuffing your jellyfish and make sure it's stuffed to the thickness that you want. Now be careful not to overstuff. You don't want it looking bulgy. You don't want any of the stuffing coming through to the outside. And the bottom part, I like it still kind of being pushed up in there. And if you add too much stuffing, it's going to start to bulge out, which I don't think looks as good. So just be conscious of not overstuffing, which I think is a common issue when it comes to amigurumi. Now, once you've worked all the way around, closing that opening, we can fasten off and weave in our end. Now we have our cute little purple amigurumi jellyfish. It is so cute in this textured wheat stitch. I completely adore this. It's just too cute. I cannot wait for my nephew to see it. I know he's going to love it. I hope you love it as well. Be sure to hit that like button on this video, or if you're on the blog post or purchasing this from my shops, all of your likes and comments and reviews are so appreciated. Also, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and come back for some more fun projects soon, because I have more of these cute ocean critters coming as well.